Hi, it's Joey Reynolds, the Joey Reynolds Rap, and I want to give you a bird's eye view of what's going on here. They say that fresh frozen vegetables are back again. Now people are using the TV dinners, internet dinners, social network dinners. You got to rename it. This is the new wave now, is to put these in a package in the microwave as they exist, and just turn that sucker on, and in 2 minutes you'll have that radiated food that we've all come to know and love. Hey, Steam Fresh, that's what it is, boy. This is my new sponsor. Now, the reason I buy frozen vegetables is because I have a headache from all the news that's going on. This is what I use it for, or a knee pad, something besides the obvious. Listen, I have been sexually abused when I was young. I got a little, I told people yesterday I was going to talk about this today. Les Moonves, who is the chairman of CBS, he's the latest victim and person to be, for the spotlight to be on. Started with Boston and the Catholic Church maybe, and President Clinton, and there's so many different sexual acting out parts that we've had to live with in our society in the last several years of this multimedia gangbang. The part that I like is the honesty and the openness so that someone can recover. Now, the recovery is usually in a private way. There's an intervention that's performed in families. We don't have the family structure we used to have. There are people who gather together to help each other because they are of the same. And that would be the 12-step meetings, for instance. Not everybody can recover from 12-step meetings, but it's a good way. And I've been part of that for a long time, 40 years, come to think of it, and almost, it's about 40 years. But you know, my recovery came through that and therapy, and a woman who in West Palm Beach, I should mention her name. She took me to various places for the sexual abuse conferences and the sensitive meetings in the medical profession, where they were actually in Miami at the time teaching how to survive with this scar of sexual abuse. It's a mental process, but it's also spiritual, and the physical part is definitely why this happened. So, you know, besides we learn new words like objectifying. Someone objectifies. They see someone beautiful and they want to go to bed with them or her, and they want to have sex, or they want to have lust, you know, we used to call it lust. And it's very common for people to be sexually attracted. That's how we are. The beauty of life is the attraction, and then the marriage subsequently, and perhaps the lovemaking is sanctioned by either religion or some legal method or family or tribal belief. You know, there's a lot of ways to do all of this. There's 300+ million people in this country, and we follow a lot of the old traditions. But there's so much to this. It's not going to be covered in my little broadcast here, and it's just too big. But I wanted to mention that Les Moonves, a couple of years ago, I was at the Consumer Electronics Show. He's a progressive person, and he gave a speech, and it was quite, it wasn't a speech, it was an interview actually, and it was very, very calculated, because at the end of it there was no Q&A, no question and answer. It was not about sex. But he said, everybody has their story, and what makes a person interesting is their story. And I met his wife. I didn't know they were married. She was a woman who now is the talk show host on The Talk on CBS. I never knew that Jenny, what's her name, Jenny? I met her briefly, took pictures with her, and at the same time, Cory Booker, who now is a senator. At that time, he was the mayor of Newark. These are all progressive thinking, really good people that have helped the society move along, and you know, that shouldn't be ignored. On the sexual acting out, that's a whole other deal. That's an addiction. You got to work on it yourself. It's a personal choice. I believe that people need to come forward when they have that and go to the person who is the perpetrator. Needs to go to the victim. That has to take place somewhere along the line in the food chain. The second thing, the first thing is acknowledgement. The second thing is that encounter and that acknowledgement. The work itself is part of that, and working with a therapist, working with a group, and then you get through that issue. The third part is forgiveness. Now, it's very difficult to have this forgiveness when it is public. I would say the public people like Harvey Weinstein, you know, it's hard for him to work on his recovery when everybody's talking about him in public, and it's shame. It's shame-based. So people run the other way from shame. In other cultures, they kill themselves from it. For instance, Japanese with Harakara. You know, shame is a very, very big component. Shame and guilt, they are kissing cousins. And you can't live with it for a long time. Even people in prison who are in a solitary confinement, they're going to face their own minds, their own behavior. I out here do meditation. I refuse to become a prisoner in my own head. And I don't want that committee that meets up there that votes against me to sit in my head rent-free. They're dismissed. So I think we have to allow for us to not publicize the sexual acting out. I saw something with the Olympics girls. They're all out there, which is good to know and talk about and to express, but the lawyers get involved and all of a sudden it becomes a circus, often. And there becomes a reward. Often, this is not a money item. This is this is supposed to be a quality of life item, not about money. When it turns into money, it's got that ugly little attachment. And you know, lawyers getting involved in this kind of thing is very touchy. It's tricky. I don't think it's an easy way unless you find someone like an Aaron Brockovich, where he found Tom. He was the lawyer that really believed in what Aaron Brockovich believed in, and he helped her. And of course, you know, the movie came out and the book, and Aaron and I are friends. She's quite a lady. She's still working on other issues, and the lawyer who helped her was genuine. Now that part of lawyerism is great, and I think whatever the addiction is, whatever it is, whatever the issue is, I don't like platforming on another occasion. In other words, I don't think we should take award shows and start talking about what we don't like or what we have attached ourselves to that's other than the event we are present for. I mean, the Oscars is for the Academy Awards. It's a celebration of movie stars. It's not supposed to be about Indians, as Marlon Brando did years ago. It's not supposed to be about anything except this particular occasion, which is motion pictures. Now, many of the motion pictures are documentaries, and you want to honor that, but you don't have to give a whole big deal about how we're going to clean the planet and we're going to live our lives differently and get rid of cancer. Not there. It's the wrong place for it, you know, time and place for everything. It's good manners. And we practice forgiveness, too. That's the other part. You can't, the Pope is trying to do that right now. You know, it's being misinterpreted sometimes because there's so much damage and there's so many rumors, there's so much gossip, and we live off of gossip, and gossip takes the paint off of furniture. You know, you cannot run a world on gossip. Gossip is hearsay. It's you talk about eyewitness here. Where is that again? Bird's eye witness. You know, it's frozen. Don't thaw out your bad thoughts. Leave them in the refrigerator, in the freezer section. And we have to really forgive each other constantly. I do it. It's called marriage, you know. You got to live with somebody by forgiveness. You don't live with somebody by force. You know, that doesn't work. So anyway, my talk was today, it's not a TED Talk, it's a Joey Talk, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about my experience, and then also mention that Les Moonves, who's the chairman of CES, of the CBS rather, when he was speaking, he spoke of telling your story on the stage. Then a few days later, I saw Charlie Rose on his show, and he said, you know, the important thing about being a good interviewer is telling a story. And I thought, well, now I know where he got that from. He got that from Les Moonves. So you got people who really know their stuff. I mean, he put together a really good network, Les Moonves did. And his work should not be forgotten. This all gets in the way. He has to have some sort of a coming to Jesus meeting, or coming to his higher power meeting, or to his doorknob meeting if he's an atheist. Wherever your belief system is, you still have to have ethics. And in the end, forgiveness. it's very, very important for us to watch these things on television or on media and be forgiving. If you don't have the forgiveness package, it lacks style. And we need to be more together too, but that's a whole other topic. So I just wanted to touch on all of that stuff. I put you on Joey duty today. Let a smile be your umbrella, but don't get a mouthful of rain.